Let me just stop for just a second and say I'm absolutely serious about Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I really, really disagreed with her. I think her, as Antonin Scalia said, when you have this living constitution, every day is a new day. It's like nobody wrote anything down. It's really not like a living constitution. It's like a blank constitution. However, she did care about the law, and she was a very brilliant jurist who reasoned to her position through the law. She didn't just make stuff up like some of the other court justices do. And when she was talking about the process, both she and Scalia were confirmed. These are obviously a very liberal woman and a very conservative guy, were confirmed by huge majorities, bipartisan majorities. And then it started to turn and things changed. And she herself said she wishes would go back to the way it was. And this is cut 6.
That's the way it should be. Instead of what it's become, which is a highly partisan show. The Republicans move in lockstep, and so do the Democrats. I wish I could wave a magic wand and have it go back to the way it was.
So a lot of people talking about her dying wish, which supposedly was that a replacement not be appointed until the next president is elected. But that was also her wish, that they could go back to doing things in a nonpartisan way. And of course, her wishes don't matter. I'm sorry, they just don't. She could have retired at 80 and let Obama replace her. She didn't. She stayed in office because she thought Hillary Clinton would win. She made her decision, and now it's time for the people who represent us to make their decision. Obviously, there's no dying wish clause in the Constitution. So now the screaming begins, and the screaming begins over the fact that Republicans said, we will not confirm Merrick Garland while when the president is a lame duck and the election is coming up, let the people decide. And here's Lindsey Graham putting his foot in his mouth, saying, you can hold this against me when the tables are turned. Let's cut 7.
If Ted Cruz or Donald Trump get to be president, they've all asked us not to confirm or take up a selection by President Obama. So if a vacancy occurs in their last year of their first term, guess what? You will use their words against them. I want you to use my words against me. If there's a Republican president in 2016 and a vacancy occurs in the last year of the first term, you can say, Lindsey Graham said, let's let the next president, whoever it might be, make that nomination, and you could use my words against me, and you'd be absolutely right.
So now, of course, he's changed his mind. Everybody's screaming hypocrisy, as opposed to Joe Biden, who said the same thing. He said you should not nominate a guy during a justice in a lame duck presidency. He said this in 92 when George Bush was president. Here's Biden back then. It was called the Biden rules, cut 20.
It is my view that if a Supreme Court justice resigns tomorrow or within the next several weeks, or resigns at the end of the summer, President Bush should consider following the practice of a majority of his predecessors and not name a nominee.
But then, guess what? Then came Merrick Garland, and here's what Biden said then, cut 9.
The American people deserve a fully staffed court of 9.
So that was from Merrick Garland. Now it's a good thing. And now, once again, it's a bad thing.
To jam this nomination through the Senate is just an exercise in raw political power. And I don't believe the people of this nation will stand for it. President Trump has already made it clear this is about power, pure and simple power. Whether the voters should make it clear on this issue, as so many others, the power in this nation resides with them, the American people, the voters.
First you say you do, and then you don't. Then you say you will, and then you won't. You're undecided now, so what are you gonna do?
So when it comes to hypocrisy, let's just play all the Democrats when they wanted Merrick Garland confirmed. here they are. It was cut 21.
Blockade on filling a naturally occurring vacancy, in my view, is harmful to the independence of the Article III branch.
You cannot keep a seat on the Supreme Court, which represents all of us. You cannot keep it vacant against the Constitution.
Do pretty much everything they can to avoid acknowledging the legitimacy of our democratically elected president.
The American people expect the president's nominee to be given a fair hearing and a timely vote in the Senate.
Every day that goes by without a ninth justice is another day the American people's business is not getting done.
We have a word for this. It's called politics. You say what you have to say, and if you have the majority, you can back it up. What's not politics is burning things down. What's not politics is threatening people. There were people outside Mitch McConnell's house last night. That's not politics. That actually is a form of low-level terrorism. And that's the big difference. You know, the whole thing is people suddenly talk about the Democrats are suddenly talking about norms. Suddenly, the Democrat Party has turned into Cheers, where they keep going, norm, norm, we have a norm. But the Democrats have been overturning norms, especially in this regard, forever. Remember Borking? I mean, Borking was when Ronald Reagan picked Robert Bork, one of the most qualified justice selections, and Ted Kennedy got up and just excoriated him as a guy who was going to make blacks sit at segregated lunch counters and force women into back alley abortions, this famous speech that Ted Kennedy made. And the Republicans were so taken aback, it took them a minute to kind of get back into the fight, to realize that they were in this terrible fight. That was the kind of thing that Democrats engineered. All norms went out the window. All norms went out the window when they accused Clarence Thomas of sexual malfeasance, when they accused Kavanaugh, when they allowed a woman who couldn't even prove that she had ever met Kavanaugh to accuse him of doing something back in high school. Those are the ways that they have thrown out the norms. They have been filibustering appellate nominees. You know, George W. Bush's first term, the Senate Democrats pioneered the use of the filibuster to block nominees to the circuit courts. I'm reading from the Wall Street Journal now. Miguel Estrada was left hanging for 28 months before he withdrew, and Senator Dick Durbin said they had to oppose him because he is Latino and couldn't be allowed to reach the D.C. Court of Appeals lest he later become a candidate for the Supreme Court. They didn't want the Republicans getting any credit with Latinos, so they blocked a Latino nominee. They also are the ones who got rid of the filibuster for appellate nominees. That was Harry Reid in 2013. They got rid of the filibuster so that you could appoint appellate nominees with 51 votes. It was McConnell who turned that back on them and basically said, all right, well, we're going to do that for Supreme Court nominees as well. So all of this is just politics. The whole thing about norms and hypocrisy, it's just, which is fine. Look, it's a democracy. You're going to have politics. You're going to have lying. You're going to have dishonesty. You're going to have people, hypocrisy, people throwing things back and forth. But it is the violence. It is the extremism, the idea that somehow the ideas of the left are so pristine, so virtuous, so good that anyone who disagrees with them is an evildoer, and that's where things go wrong. And this is it really is. It's like politics is politics. It's hilarious. We defend our guys, but we know our guys are shifty just like their guys are shifty. That's not the problem. The problem is when you can't talk at all. And this is why I really feel that as sorrowful as we may be to lose a consequential American like Ruth Bader Ginsburg, she was an old lady. It was her time to go. And this is a moment where for Donald Trump, I think all he has to do is follow the Constitution. All he has to do is follow the rules, do what the Constitution says he should do, and appoint a judge. And all the people, all the Mitt Romneys and the Lisa Murkowskis who say, oh, we have to stand on principle and not do this, they're fools, and they're just acting politically too because they think that will help them get elected.